All right, welcome to this Q&A. And like 2 days ago, we asked on both our Instagrams whether you guys have questions for a little Q&A, which we're going to record right now. We got a shit ton of questions. We picked the ones we felt we could both talk about.
Yeah.
We try to stay away about something really specific in terms of, for example, SMMA, which is yours, or web development, which is more my thing. Let's roll into it. So the first question is a fun one straight away. What's your opinion on psychedelic drugs and business? Shall I start and you want to complete?
Yeah,
All right.
you go for it.
Well, first of all, when you talk about psychedelics, I think it's very important to know a couple of things. First of all, it's really going to enhance your emotions.
Let's do the legal stuff first.
Drugs.
In no way do we condone drug use. We are simply recounting our experience with it.
Yeah, that's
All right. Yeah.
all right.
Nice.
So psychedelic drugs, they enhance your emotions, your feelings. So if you're scared, for example, you're going to take them, it's going to make it worse. You're going to get really, really scared, and you can even get into psychosis or something.
Mm-hmm.
If you are really sad, it's going to make you, really, really sad. If you're happy, it's going to make you super happy. So that's the first thing. And I think you agree with this, is don't even think about this if you are not in control of your own mind.
Yeah.
So if you haven't been meditating for at least like 6 months or a year, don't even try it, because you're gonna see shit. You're basically gonna see things which aren't there. And if you're not in control of your mind, or you do have a bad experience, you don't know how to control this, it's gonna be a very, very bad experience for you.
I mean, there's tons of really, really, really smart people who use psychedelic drugs, and then a lot more that are open about it, and then just tons more that do it or have done it and just can't be open about it for publicity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In terms of psychedelics, one thing I would say is when I first took psychedelic for the first time, I'd been meditating for a year, so that's one of the most important things. I think it's just being able to control your emotional state. One thing I would say is for me personally, just from my own experience after taking psychedelics quite a few times, probably at this point like 6 or 7 times, is like, I think there's a lot more drama around it than there needs to be. Just as long as you're not an idiot, and just before taking psychedelics, if you've just broken up with your girlfriend, don't take psychedelics. If you've just been through something traumatic, don't take psychedelics. As long as you're in a good mood going into it, and also just as long as you're not going into it for a fun trip. It's not like other drugs where you go and it's a party thing. It's like a lot of time when you do psychedelics, it's either in a group of friends or it's just on your own. Most of the time I've done psychedelics,
it's on your own.
It's literally just been on my own. And I just have a pen and a pad, a paper, and I just have sort of a issue that I'm kind of trying to tackle, or something that I'm trying to get a bit more clarity on. Now, one thing I would say is I haven't done psychedelics in maybe a year and a half or something like that, simply because, and all drugs for that matter, simply because I just don't have the time for that reboot process after. The first time you take psychedelics or any drug, really, honestly, just go steam room sauna, cold plunge, have a shit ton of green juice, coffee, and get a good meal in you and a bunch of vitamins, and honestly the next day you'll feel perfectly fine. But if you do drugs, for after the fourth, fifth, sixth time, you're really gonna start to feel the effects, and for a week, 2 weeks, you're kind of gonna feel like shit. So at this point, I have to weigh up, okay, is
that worth it?
Is that worth it? And the answer is just no.
I guess one more thing is, if you've never done anything like this, you want to do it, don't do it alone the first time.
Yeah, I'd say so.
That's what I would say. I guess the reason we got this question is because a lot of big entrepreneurs, as you say, actually talk about this. Talk about solving a certain problem, and that is what happens if you do it alone. But the first time,
Yeah, to do it with someone who's done it before.
And do a bit of research. That was the first question. The second question, what extra value does a mentor provide, and how to find one? I mean, I guess we made a whole video about this.
Yeah, so we made an entire video, I think, 6 months back,
roughly,
or something like that. So you can just go look on my channel.
And on mine.
Oh yeah, it's on yours too.
Yeah.
So just go look on our channel. I think it's a 20-30 minute video.
I'll probably link it in my...
Yeah.
It's somewhere here. Yeah. The next one is, are you guys still in business together? Well, okay, let me tell you something about Iman. Iman hates doing business together with someone, which is true, right? You want to work alone.
I hate business partners.
He hates business partners. He also always tells people who are in business together, why are you in business together? Yeah, a year ago when IG Media started, we ran it together.
More than a year ago. I mean, we first started working on IG Media together, in an actual business sense, probably May of 2017.
Yeah,
3-4 months after I really started going with it.
Yeah, that's true. I guess we incorporated a year ago.
Oh yeah. So we incorporated.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So we incorporated a year ago because he turned 18, and
Finally.
we thought we could incorporate sooner, but apparently we probably could.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
Well, I mean, to give you a bit of context, like Bob and I have been trying to find like business ventures and opportunities ever since we started. Our first idea was like something we'd pump like 30K, or you pump 30K. I had no fucking money. You know, he'd pump 30K into, and he'd be an investor, and that was the kind of like Fiverr or like Upwork for like high-end like videographers and content creators, and we decided against that. And then we thought about like clothing just for calisthenics. And then after that, we decided against that because I was still 16 at the time. I couldn't even like have a business card, like it was just impossible. So then after that, we decided because I couldn't have a company because I was 17 and a half at that point. So we just decided to do things like as his company and then me as, you know, a sole trader. And we just had like some clients that we worked on together, like Twin Spark Racing, Bang & Olufsen. And we just worked on kind of like a percentage basis on these projects together. And then after that, I was like, you know, after everything that Bob did for me, just kind of being like a brother to me more than like anything. Like, you know, like I'd never had anyone that I could rely on, or like, you know, I'd come to Bob and I could be like, okay, how do you invoice, or like how does tax work? Or
Dude, there were times that my phone would ring like every 10 minutes.
IG Media, that could be something that we could do together. So as I said, I kind of like hate having a business partner. If I fail, I like to fail alone. And by that, I don't mean like having employees or a company. I just mean like being the spearhead. If I like to fail, I like to fail alone. If I like to win, I know it's because I spearheaded the company.
Which I think is a funny difference between us. I actually really enjoy, I have several companies together with someone because I actually really enjoy working together. Even though sometimes it's frustrating because I'm ready to move to the next level or next step and the other person might not be.
We're very different in that sense.
But in all fairness, the way things evolved, even if you would like to have a business partner, the way things evolved, you know, my phone stopped ringing, at least in terms of business. We of course speak a lot, but because you figured everything out, and you went to the level, so there was no real reason for me to be actual part of IG Media.
So we decided we would want to do something that was like, you know, where it was like a real like thing we could do together. You know, we had that Meridian Mastermind that we did together. We had a software that we were like planning on doing together, and then for me, it was just like, it was definitely a lost opportunity. Bob's coming out with that like 2-3 months, depending on like how quick Facebook is. So that's going to be an absolute game changer. I missed out on that opportunity. I've even said to him,
I offered you percentage.
I even said at the time, you know, we were going to go into it, you know, as kind of like business partners and stuff like that. And I basically like let go of that opportunity just because I wanted to focus on what I'm doing. You guys will hear about that in like 3-4 months. It's sick, like amazing software.
It is.
Yeah.
So the answer is right now, no.
Right now, technically and legally, we're not business partners. We have kind of ventures that we look at together and we're like, oh, that could be cool, or maybe we could do this together or that together. But legally, we're not like business partners at the moment. More just like trusted advisors for each other.
That's like a long answer to a simple no answer. What is your biggest struggle and weakness in entrepreneurship? All right, well, for me, that is very, very simple. For me, it's focus. Well, I guess there's two things, right? I think every entrepreneur struggles with finding the right balance between work life and private life. If you're not careful, you're just going to be working day and night. I think that's in general the biggest struggle. If I look for myself, it is focus. As you know, I like to start businesses. I get bored once a business is like up and running and it's doing properly and it's bringing in money. So at some point last year, and that was my biggest lesson again last year, and I've had that in the past as well.
I was starting like 5 companies.
Yeah, probably like 5 companies. And then I also sort of stopped a few companies which were maybe doing some money, but just not, you know, for example, I was selling statues of animals which were painted by an artist. I don't know why. It was fun. I was starting a clothing brand with a gymnast who's going to the Olympics. Things like that, but it just, all it does, it takes away the focus from my actual business. So software development and sort of coaching, which I'm focusing on now. So for me, it's focus. And I think that's what every entrepreneur should really do. And maybe 2 things is still too much, but at least it's not 10 things anymore.
Yeah, I mean, at least you got the web development agency pretty much like automated. Yeah. Like your team runs it.
Yeah.
For me, I'd say, I don't know, I'd probably say focus too. Because like I think focus is always the thing that's like lacking, or even if you're here with your focus, like, you know, you have to get here. I'm not one of those digital nomad, like this thing that like everyone's wired differently. Some people want to make like $1 million a year and just have a really good social life and stuff like that. And I've just kind of come to learn I'm just a bit like fucking psycho. I like having a good social life. I have a good social circle and social life. Every once in a while I love to go pop bottles at the club and go on a nice holiday, but at the end of the day, the thing that makes me happiest is my work. So for me, like balance isn't like a thing, because like, there's nothing I'd rather do than work.
How to cut negative friends when you are close to them? Well, the answer is cut them. I know it's really difficult, but you have to really ask yourself questions like, what am I doing right now, and is it bringing me towards my goals? And who are the people I'm around, who are surrounding me, and are they helping me grow? You know, they say you are the average of the 5 people closest around you, and I think it's very true. One of the reasons that we see each other a lot, even though we sort of live in different countries, is that we know that we can actually push and motivate each other. And that's rare to find people who you feel can really, really help you and push you. So if you're close to people who are just pulling you down, and you feel like they're not helping you with your goal, and even worse, it's really difficult, but you're gonna have to let them go and just, you can even be frank to them, listen, I love you, but right now, what I want is grow as a person, grow my business, and right now you're not helping me there.
I have a pretty good analogy I use. To this day, I still don't actually know if it's true, but apparently if you throw a frog in boiling water, it just jumps out because it's fucking terrified. So it just literally just jumps out of the pot. But if you put a frog in cold water and then slowly bring up the temperature, it starts to simmer and then it starts to boil, and the frog just sits there until it dies. I use that exact same analogy for cutting out friends. Just treat your friends like frogs. So what I mean by that, I've seen it time and time again where, especially with entrepreneurs, they have this very maybe they watch like a motivational video or something stupid like that. And they're like, you know what, I need to cut all my friends and be isolated and blah blah, and like destroy my mental health along the way. So what they'll do is they'll text all their friends like, you're not like leveling up, bye. And it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, I have friends for different days. I have some friends that literally I only hit up when I just want to go to lunch and not talk about business and just laugh my ass off. Like, I have friends literally that I'll just hit up if I'm going to the club and I just want to party and I'm having big drinks in mind before or something like that. And then I have some friends which I only hit up when it's like like your gym buddies or some shit like that. My point is, like, different people serve different purposes. Your closest circle, in my opinion, needs to be people that you can laugh with, that you can cry with, that you can like level up with, that you can go out and fucking rage with. Like, they need, I think a really close person to you should be all of those things. So my point is, first of all, you need to identify whether they're negative, and also you need to probably stop being such an asshole, because like people say like, oh, cut them out, blah blah, but I have a different opinion, which is like, what if when you're with them, this person has literally zero motivation, they're gonna do fuck all with their life, but when you're with them, you just laugh your ass off and they're just such a good human. Does that mean you need to cut them out? In my opinion, I don't think so. First of all, understand which friends actually need to be cut out. Now, the question was toxic friend. If a friend is toxic and they're actually like pulling you down, well, then just use that frog method, which, as I said, if you throw them into the boiling hot water, they're gonna jump out and they're gonna freak out at you. By that I mean, if you send them a text like, hey, fuck you, like, or like, hey, like, I'm sorry, I can't be associated with you anymore, they're gonna freak out. You see it all the time with like people when they like level up and their friends are like, oh, you changed, or you forgot about us, or this thing or that thing. Whereas if you just treat them like frogs, by that I mean, if you see them maybe like once a week on average, cut that down to once every 2 weeks, and then do that for a month, and then cut that down to once every month, and then like as you text, just be slower and slower to reply, and then just stop planning things with that person, and soon they'll start, they won't look at you like, oh, what an asshole, he like completely like dropped me. He'll be like, oh, we drifted away. If they're like hitting you up like, what are you doing, just be like, oh, I'm building, I'm sorry, I really gotta work on my business, it means a lot to me right now, or hey, I'm really sorry, I'm focusing a lot of time on the gym and my nutrition at the moment, so I just really honestly can't go out. And if they're still trying to like give you shit for that, just don't reply. I think you should, rather than like completely cutting them out and going cold turkey, I think you should slowly like wane them off and slowly like bring up that temperature so that they don't freak out, and then eventually they'll just be like, oh, okay, whatever, like, we drifted away.
What are your 2019 goals? So I have a shit ton of goals. I have 10 minutes of meditation a day. I know you have a bit more. That's one of my goals. My goal is, honestly, to make $1 million. My other main goal for me is actually to be in the gym 5 times a week, but that's a whole, not the aesthetic part. It's just a whole, it's so important to take care of yourself, and it's so important to be healthy so that you can actually go to peak performance, to have the best possible performance. There's a few things you have to do. First of all, your goals have to be challenging but realistic. Right? If you set goals which are just simply, up there, you're never going to make them. After 2 or 3 months, you're going to realize I'm not hitting my goals. That's going to demotivate you, and it's not going to push you. But if they're too easy, after 2 months you hit your goals, and you say, oh, I'll make new ones. They're not pushing you, right? So they should be challenging, and they should be measurable, right? So the whole thing about SMART goals, but it's actually true. Time-bound, measurable, because then you can, if you just say, I want to go to the gym more often, or I want to regularly work out, what's that? It's not measurable.
My main ones, number one, 15 minutes meditation a day. That was something I really struggled with in 2018, was just staying consistent with my meditation practice. I think 2019, the most important thing is going to be focus, and for me, presence and just clear-mindedness. Because going into 2018, I honestly had absolutely no idea how I was going to hit $1 million profit. Not a single fucking clue. It was cool, I did it. Going into 2018, my financial goal was 4 million pounds revenue, with around 2.5 to 2.8 million of that being profit. And I know exactly how I'm gonna hit it, and I know I'm gonna hit it. It's not even a question. So when you have that clarity, now it's just can you execute? So number one is 15 minutes meditation on average every single day. Obviously some days it'll be you do 0, so then you kind of have to load balance and stuff like that. So that's number one, 15 minutes meditation, 4 million pounds in revenue. Reason I'm speaking revenue, not profit, for 2019 is when you're trying to grow, and this year was super lean, super efficient, but you can't stay super lean and efficient forever. You have to focus on growing. Just look at Amazon for 19 years or 17 years or something, they didn't make a profit. So I'm definitely not looking to not make a profit, but I'm definitely looking to cut my margins a little. Right now they're around 80% between the training business and the agency. Next year they'll go down to 60, 70%, something like that. And the last one is an hour and a half screen time.
That's a good one.
Yeah, if you haven't already, check out make sure you update to, I think it's iOS 12, and make sure you have screen time enabled. And every single week, check out your screen time. At the last Maria Mastermind I held, I had everyone pull out their phone and check their screen time. Some of these people's screen time were 7 hours, and 5 of that was on fucking Instagram. And it's just so, I've not only for my business, but just my mental health. I've said it for a year and a half. I hate social media. You have to use it very, very strategically. Either you use social media or social media uses you. I sell attention, if that makes sense. My agency, and I guess in my info product business, as I serve ads and impressions to people, my agency, what we do is we pay Facebook for Facebook to serve impressions to other people, aka you are so fucking stupid that you are gonna give Facebook your attention. You're basically allowing Facebook and Instagram to make you just so poor that, as I said, basically Facebook's taking your attention, balling it up, and making billions and billions off of you becoming stupid. If you haven't read a book, I read a book when I was 16, roughly around 2 years ago, called The Shallows. I think you read it too, right? And I forget who it was by, but literally 2 years ago, I was okay, yeah, social media, keep it to a minimum. Use it strategically, because this thing is honestly cancer, and the more and more I've progressed throughout the year, the more and more I've realized that's the case. So trying to get my screen time down to an hour and a half between WhatsApp, sending people voice notes back, messaging, Instagram.
What are your morning and evening routines? Shall we go through this really fast?
Yeah.
Okay. My morning routine is, so my morning routine starts with something really small: make the bed, do 10 push-ups, open the blinds, and drink a glass of water. 4 tasks which I complete within 1 minute. It's not gonna make my pecs grow doing 10 push-ups. The only thing is, in my mind, I've now completed 4 tasks within 1 minute, so I've been productive, and I can take that with me throughout the day. It's actually something which comes from the military, because they do this. Then I go to the gym. When I come home, I read, I meditate, I do my affirmations, basically a daily journal, and I go to the office. Evening routine for me is 45 minutes prior to bed. At least that's what I try nowadays, is to take a shower. Actually, taking a shower raises your body temperature, so you wake up a bit, but afterwards you get a bit more sleepy, and it's actually proven now that you sleep better if you take a shower before bed, but about 45 minutes prior to bed. My phone also goes on airplane mode, then goes away to the charger, and I drink a bit of tea and I read.
I used to do what Bob does in that first minute, and for some reason I stopped doing it, and I should really start doing that again, because I really like that. They're guaranteed wins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If
it takes 20 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. It takes it takes basically no time, and you've just literally won 4 times. Like the first 4 things you've done in that day, you've won. I guess I won't give you Bali routine because Bali routine is so skewed and so F. In London, I used to wake up at 5:30, and then a month before I left London for Bali, I changed that to 7. I found it better. That meant like sometimes I would have like dinners or like even like dinner meetings, although I don't really ever do meetings, or just catching up with like old clients or like, you know, business associates or stuff like that. If I woke up at 5:30 just to get 7.5 hours of sleep, which isn't even that much, it's like just like cutting it, I'd have to go to bed at 10. So I'd have to start my like nighttime routine at like 9. And sometimes when you're with people and just dinner goes on, you're not gonna leave to like fulfill your nighttime routine. So then I moved it to 7, a bit more realistic. So now I can go to bed at 11:30 and get 7.5 hours, or I can go to bed at 10, which happens a lot, and I can get 9 hours, which is awesome. I wake up at 7, and then by 7:15, Billy, who's my full-time personal trainer, he's at my house, ringing the door, and I'll drink shot of apple cider vinegar, and then I'll have a squeeze of lime and Himalayan pink sea salt. That's just kind of my morning concoction. And then I'll go to the gym. Oh, and I also have like a little like Trek bar. I know it's full of sugar, but I'm going to the gym, so fuck you. So then I'll head out to the gym with Billy. We'll take an Uber. We'll be at the gym by around like, Wait, I think I've screwed up my...
What?
No, I wake up at 6:30. Okay, anyways, I wake up at 6:30, and by 7, I'm in the gym. Billy's at my house by 6:45. I realized I changed it here. I wake up at 6:30. Billy's at my house by 6:45. We're at the gym by 7. 7 to 8, we train. 8 on the dot, I leave. I'm back at the house by 8:20. Shower, meditate, start work by 9, and that's my morning routine. And then nighttime routine, kind of similar to yours. An hour before bed, I will check Slack, reply to Slack. And then I try to do this, but most of the time I fail. I try to go on my phone and clear all my WhatsApp.
Is PayPal or Stripe better?
So, initially when Bob started his because as I said, he's had like a lot of companies he's had to manage, deal with. So eventually once he started getting some more time, the demand has always been super, super high, but I think somewhere around like August or whatever, he started to take on like coaching more seriously. Yeah. So as he started to take on coaching more seriously, he had to get a separate PayPal for that and shit like that. And I remember we first had a discussion. You'd never used Stripe before, so you didn't really know about it. And you know when you don't know about something, you just assume it's worse.
I guess in Holland, where I'm from, PayPal is really well known, and Stripe is just not. Yeah. So I thought, PayPal's fair. It's a good choice.
So he started using PayPal for everything.
Yeah.
And then they blocked money a couple times, held money 4 times. I currently have money being held. I think 40,000 pounds held for no reason whatsoever. I've asked them plenty of times, literally no fucking reason. I know some people who have had 500,000 held in PayPal. Once again, absolutely no reason. PayPal does whatever the hell they want to whoever the hell they want. And I just hate
their fees are higher.
Their fees are higher.
There's only one positive thing, which is the protection sort of. If someone claims, at least it's a bit better handling than Stripe.
Yeah, Stripe. For example, if someone does a bullshit chargeback or whatever, it takes you 4 months to get get a answer because it's going straight to their bank. Whereas PayPal are okay,
they'll just hold it.
Yeah, they'll just be this is retarded, and then they'll send you back the money or whatever. So that's the only.
That's the only. But Stripe.
Stripe.
100% Stripe. What white speakers do you use?
So he's referring to the white speakers that I use. Those are the BioLit 17. Yeah. It's the speaker I use, and also Bob has one.
Not the same, yeah.
So my white one was actually a gift from Bob before I left Holland a year and a couple months ago. Yeah. So we actually did some work with Bang & Olufsen. It was just content work. Bob knew the owner of a branch in Bruxelles.
Yeah, that's their name.
Yeah. It's the best speaker out there.
That's really, really good.
It's so sick.
Yeah. What do you reinvest in? Now, here's a question that we sort of disagree in every now and then. Basically, what I've done, which I know Iman doesn't really agree with, is I've been starting to buy garage boxes. So real estate, right? Just to rent them out because they give about a 7 to 8% return on investment yearly. Now, currently, at least in Europe where we live, the real estate price has gone up quite a bit, which means that at some point there will probably be a correction, which is when I think you want to start buying real estate.
Yeah.
Now in my head, this is what happens, right? It might happen tomorrow, it might happen in 3 years. Say it happens in 3 years, I already made 24%, so even if the market would drop 20%, I still made a better deal than buying it at that time. Plus,
well, if it drops 20%, it's still going to bounce back up. So you just need to hold on to it for another year and a half, and you still.
No, that's true.
So yeah.
So my main concern is right now you don't get any interest in the bank, so you do want to reinvest. But I do believe that I actually still use percentages. I know you used to micromanage the percentage you would spend on everything. I don't know if you still do it. Okay, very good. But I do have certain percentages. Part of it is actually giving to charity because I think that's important. So the more I start making, the more I give back.
Like buckets, you could call them.
Yeah, like buckets.
Yeah.
Then there's another bucket which is for investing in myself, whether it is coaching, whether it's a course, whatever, because you always, by investing in yourself, it is the best investment out there. But then at the same time, just having your money in the bank is, it's just really stupid. So I follow the system which is spoken about in the book Unshakable by Tony Robbins, which basically means you leverage between a bit of real estate, but mainly bonds and stocks. And it forces you to sell with profit and buy when things are going down, which is really cool. Real estate, bought a house, bought garage boxes, stocks, bonds. I don't do crypto.
Yeah, so Bob is definitely a lot more solid. He owns his house. I don't own a house. He owns fucking garage boxes. I don't own shit. He owns stocks. I don't own anything. So my opinion with investing is nothing currently is gonna bring me a better return than my business, and I hold that belief. So right now my biggest goal is just to keep getting more and more and more in the bank. We're talking $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million, $5 million, just cash sitting in the bank. And that's literally my only objective. I don't understand real estate enough to even try to do it. I don't understand stock or stock prices and fucking enough to try to do it. I can put I could spend my money on Facebook ads and get an instant ROI. But once again, it just depends on your business, I think if you've got an agency or whatever, if you have an agency, I think the best investment you can make is in yourself. Because the thing is there is nothing that's gonna drive your agency forward except for yourself. An employee realistically is not gonna drive your business forward. It's you. It's what you don't know that's gonna drive your business forward, So I think, and especially when you're starting out or even mid-level success, you got to
invest in yourself.
Because there's no one else that can drive your business. Now it's different if you have an e-commerce brand. At that point, I'd want to have a shit ton of money in the bank, and when ads are cheap, definitely not December, just literally outbid your competition. But as I said, for me right now, there's nothing that brings a higher return than Facebook ads for my training business, for example. And my goal, I'm never going to invest in something I don't understand. I don't understand real estate to the level I need to invest in it. Also, it's not the price where it's attractive to me. So my goal is
long term. You do want to invest in real estate, right?
Oh, my long term goal is have an investment that. Call me cuckoo or crazy. I don't think I think it's a guarantee. My goal is $1 billion. I'm not gonna get to $1 billion. I don't think I'm gonna get to $1 billion with I think I'm gonna get to $1 billion with real estate. That's how I see it. That's how I see me growing a huge fortune. So I definitely want to get into real estate, but maybe for me, my goal is when my company is doing 10, 15, 20 million a year, because it's for as much energy as I can invest going to real estate seminars and getting
right now it doesn't. I agree.
Yeah,
for you it doesn't.
I could either put that time in there, or I could put into my business, and my business can bring me more yield.
One thing about investing, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're probably not going to build up a pension or anything, so it is important to sort of invest or make sure, either put it aside. My goal is if I have say that you end up with 100 garage boxes, that's enough to live from. Just the rent alone, you could retire and have a perfect life.
Yeah.
And it's a nice way to make sure, basically have a sort of passive income. Long term. So whatever you do, it could be real estate, could be, I wouldn't say do everything in crypto for your retirement, because that's just might make you really rich or really poor.
Yeah.
Make sure you do something so that once you stop working at some point, money still keeps coming in.
Also keep in mind, when you invest in real estate or garage box or whatever, he gets taxed at the capital gains level, which is far more attractive than me, for example. I get taxed at corporate level. So does he and his actual businesses. I don't benefit from any sort of capital gains tax, which especially in UK is 10% up to I think 50K a year or something like that. So if I had a apartment or whatever that's generating me 50K a year, I only get taxed 5K on that, so that's 45K like net. I can make a year from that. So just a little side note.
In Holland, it's even better.
Really?
But yeah, we won't really go. We got a lot of questions on tax, like what's smart to do with taxes. We can't really advise on it because it's so different.
He's in Holland, I'm in London.
Country, plus your situation. So yeah, we're not really gonna.
Plus, we're not tax advisors.
No. When building a personal brand, bringing out free content is vital. When should I start? I think now. Documenting the journey is so powerful. Look at him, right? He started documenting his journey when he wasn't making any money, when he was. I mean, okay, I'm not gonna say the channel name, but if you look really, really carefully, you'll find videos.
Well, you can just find it on my channel.
Football videos.
Oh yeah, you can find my football videos.
Yeah, there's like football videos. Although, anyways, he started documenting when he was young, and people start following the journey, and they start rooting for you and want you to become successful, and they really, really start becoming fans. And what we really want is create true fans. I started when I had my business, when I was doing okay, when I was doing well, which makes it harder to build that sort of fan base. It might be a bit easier to build the rapport and to build sort of, he's knowledgeable, but to actually have fans when you're already a bit higher up is difficult. So start documenting the journey. You never know when you use it or could use it. For ads, it would be great to have like footage of me struggling, when you're just starting a business. So I say start as soon as possible.
Yeah, so if you're using a personal brand, I assume it's because you are trying to use your personal brand to get agency clients as a lead generation method, or you're
coaching.
Or you're trying to build a coaching business, or an infoprog business, or fucking membership site on like how to tap dance or something. You know what I mean? Like, point is, if you're smart, you're using it to build an actual like business, a real business. My best recommendation is if you want to get to 7 figures, social media is incredible. Like honestly, just incredible, especially because all of this organic audience that you have, you can retarget all of them, and that's just super cheap conversions. To get to 8 figures, I would drop social media as much as you can, because at that point, paid traffic is by far the biggest lever that you can pull to scale to that point. But I think most people will be happy with 7 figures. So my point is, just fucking use social media.
And start now.
Yeah.
Best outreach methods in the Netherlands. I guess
I think it's quite interesting.
In the Netherlands, there's one big problem, and that's called, we have a registry where you can basically give your phone number on a website, and if you're registered there, you're not allowed to be cold called. Right? If I would call someone who's on the list, I can get a big fine. Which means I think they have like maybe even up to 20 million phone numbers. 17 million people living in the country. 20 million phone numbers are registered, and you're not allowed to call them. I have 2 numbers registered there myself. So cold calls are not really an option. So email is actually the best way in Holland to get response. So if you're doing business to business, that is of course, emailing is by far the best outreach method in Holland. I think it's different in every country.
Yeah, so this is something I see a lot. Guys, I found it. Cold calling is 100% the best way. No. Chatbots are the best. No. Cold video message, or cold DM, or like that. And it's just like, no. You're full of shit, and you're probably trying to sell someone something. First of all, it depends on what niche you're in, because one niche will respond to something very, very, very differently than a different niche will.
Yeah.
And it also depends on geographically where you are. I learned very, very harshly when I started to do some business in Holland. They don't, like, I operate, even though I've lived in London for like 15, 16 years, I operate very American, you say. I cut straight to the chase, like, I'm no bullshit, and I'm super fucking blunt. And sometimes that, like, comes back to bite me in the ass. But even honestly with some, like, British people, they're very, like, snobby and shit. Like, I've had issues with that before. I think I remember last year in Marbella 2017, I had, like, a client. You remember, and we were like in discussions, and like they got really offended by like how blunt I was. I didn't say anything rude, I was just very blunt and straight to the point. So my point is, like, I learned in Holland that you guys have a different way of doing things.
Well, we're pretty straight to the point, I guess, but
but
we do really start with, for example, small talk is huge for us, and building the relationship first is really big. And another thing is, you have location, but also you as a person. Right? Some people are really, really strong on the phone. They're just really strong. And some people are really shit, but they can type the best possible emails. So why should you torture yourself and keep trying to make those calls if it's just not giving you results? So, some people are really strong with video, and some people have a camera and they get so shy they don't know what to say. So it's both what is accepted within my niche, within my area, plus what are my strong points, and use your strong points.
I mean, I know that, like, for example, my old employee of mine, Esteban, who most of you guys know, especially if you're in 6-figure SMA, And the guy's a beast at cold calling it on the phone. And then you get him to write an email, and he's just such a spaz. It just, once again, you can't have like a baseline and just make a blanket statement that this is the best.
No, I agree. All right, well, I think that's sort of the 10 questions we picked.
I think that is it.
Right.
I think that has been like 45 minutes of absolute fire.
Fire, yeah.
Thank
you so much for watching. Oh, yeah.
All right.
That's it.
That was a sick ending.